What is happening, you guys? Welcome back to Let's Go Win podcast. We are going to be learning quite a bit about mindset, about real estate, about winning in general. I was getting schooled off camera. I can't wait for you guys to hear. Nate Barger is a real estate investor and entrepreneur with over 16 years of expertise in the real estate industry. Today, at the age of 45, he has flipped over 3,500 properties, holds over 1,800 current units, and is living his life with full control over his finances and time. Nate has spent his entire career coming up with creative ways to give back to his community and to help others change their lives the same way he did through real estate investing. This year alone, he and his partners are finishing up PPM aimed to raise $50 million for distressed hotels. Brother, like I said, off air, you were already schooling me, and it's so simple to you. It's remarkable. Thank you for being here. I can't wait to hear more about it.
Man, thank you so much for having me on, brother. I really appreciate it, and can't wait to come to Boca Raton and see you, man. I love it down there.
You come on down anytime, brother. We'd love to have you. I guess before you get to come here, I got to hear your story, man. So it sounds like at 29, you really got into real estate, as if I did the math correctly. What led you into real estate? And we're talking a lot of units, 3,500 flips, 1,800 holds. Brother, to me, the math is adding up. That's a lot of, you're busy, man. Your activity is off the charts.
Yep. So that's kind of dated. That's a few years old right there. Okay. You guys need to update that, man. I'm over 4,000 units now, but we started buying hotels. We actually have a hotel down in Sarasota, $81 million development we're doing. Beautiful project. But how I got started in real estate, guys, look, man, it's all mindset, right? And that's what you teach. You teach people mindset. Look, guys, I grew up in poverty, man. My dad was a railroader. He was an alcoholic. We didn't have no money, man. Now, he may have made money, but it ain't come home. If it did, it came home in the form of alcohol bottles, right? And so him and my mom were both alcoholics, man. I came from, blue collar family, both sides, poverty mindset, scarcity mindset. So by the time I was 14, I got sent away to a military school, orphanage, got kicked out of school. By the time I was 22, I've been in and out of prison twice and had 4 felonies. And so, well, thankfully for me, when I got out, nobody would give me a job. And so, I say thankfully because for the next 7 years, I would go on. I was bringing weed back across country, and I was making a lot of money. But at the age of 29, man, I was depressed. I had millions of dollars. I had, anything you think you could want, any type of car, go on vacations. My budget was $57,000 a month to live on. I was reckless, man. I had become an alcoholic. I didn't know what to do. The feds were watching me. I knew I was going back to prison if I didn't stop. I couldn't even stop. I cried out to God. I didn't know what to do, man. I cried out to God, and he showed me real estate. Within about 30, 40 minutes, I put a plan together, and I realized I could make $10,000 a month doing real estate. Well, my mind was so warped, man. I was like, I can't live off of that, right? And so it took me, that was August of 2004. August 14th of 2004 was the last, I got like 330 pounds of weed back, and I was like, I'm done. And I just cried out to God, and he delivered me of that. And if you've never been in chains to the devil, it's hard to explain that, man. Because I didn't even do drugs, but I was a bad alcoholic, and I was an enabler, because part of growing up in a dysfunctional family, you take on these different traits. And so I became an enabler to the people that were selling weed for me, and they always needed more weed to make more money. And I just wanted to do something legit, man. Success to me was just being able to provide legit for my family. Well, I didn't have a family at the time. But shortly after that, I would meet my wife, man, and she just really helped me get sober, encouraged me to do real estate and go after it. And, I got these crazy big dreams. None of them are too big. So from 2005 to 2010, I had got up to about 250 units. I had a junkyard. I had industrial buildings, and I was bankrupt. I was over leveraged. My residential real estate did really well. The junkyard was a mess. I was all over the place. I had all this construction equipment I had financed for my construction company that it just didn't need. And then I had these industrial buildings that were cross collateralized with some of my real estate, my residential holdings. And I had personally guaranteed them. Those went vacant. There was nobody left to lease to. And I was bankrupt. So for the next 3 years, I would learn what did I do wrong out of all this? Because remember, I have 4 felonies. Nobody was going to give me a job, and nobody was even hiring back in 2010. I don't know where you guys were at, but in Cincinnati and the Midwest, man, there were no jobs here. And even if there was, I wasn't an applicant they were looking for. So I had to dig really hard. I would spend the next 3 years trying to unwind all the holdings that I had, work it out with the banks. One bank in particular wouldn't work with me at all, and they were coming after my head. So I went in and started reading the law. And I started writing my own motions, and I started winning. And I ended up getting 3 properties back free and clear because they could not prove the people that filed against me. They were big banks. These were like Oak Street Mortgage and Countrywide. I don't know if you guys remember them. They couldn't prove that they actually owned that note. And they took me to court saying they did. So I basically prove it. They couldn't. So I ended up getting those properties back free and clear. Or not free and clear. They were dirty from other liens I had on me, but the first position mortgage ended up getting wiped away. And so I felt like, wow, you can beat the banks. And so then I really got an ego. I ain't gonna say I got an ego, but I just felt like, man, it's all mindset. You can do anything. Like I just beat a multi-billion-dollar bank myself, writing a motion, going to court, presenting myself. Why? Because I realized at that point, I was backed in the corner and I had 2 choices. I could give up or I could come out swinging, and only one of them led to the result that I was looking for, which was to provide for my wife and my kids. And so which one do you think I chose?
Came out swinging, brother, obviously.
So in 2013, I called my attorney and I said, hey man, can you get this bankruptcy over? We were dragging it out. And I just started. Man, I with a 400 credit score and no money. 2013, I started putting it together. In 2014, I bought 28% of all the multifamily that traded in Cincinnati with a 400 credit score and no money. And people, and they said, how? I said, because I just was at rock bottom. What did I have to lose? I found out that I didn't necessarily need to have good credit, but somebody that I was going to get to come in and sign for the debt needed to. I didn't necessarily have to have money, but somebody needed to. And I had to be this missing piece. I had to find the deals. I had to know how to renovate them, how to manage them. I already know how to do all this stuff. I was very strong in it. Where I screwed up at was not being educated, being all over the place, not having a laser-like focus. And, from 2013 to the end of 2015, I accumulated over $35,000 a month in passive income in 30 months. So I did what anybody my age would. I'm retired, right? I was 39, 40 years old, retired. I'm moving to Florida. So we went down to the Keys for 4 months, stayed between the Keys and was it Orlando? And I thought I would just go down there and, go deep sea fishing and just enjoy life and hang out at the pool. But the fact of the matter was, after about 4 months, man, I was bored out of my mind. And my wife wanted to get back home. And so I realized that I loved real estate, but I just got burnt out because what I didn't tell you guys, in them 30 months, I worked 18, 20-hour days. I did not care. I no longer cared about the sacrifice. I just cared about the goal. And the goal was here. Whatever I had to do to get there ethically, I was going to do it. And my wife encouraged me so much, man. When I was bankrupt, I was like, man, with a woman like that by your side, how could you not just give everything? And I realized, like when people say, did you ever want to give up? I told them every day I wanted to give up. So that's natural. That's mindset, right? I know you teach a lot about that. And so my way of getting over that was one day, and I mean, guys, when I tell you I wanted to give up, sometimes I'd go to the matinee movie just to go in there and cry. It was that hard. It was that freaking hard, man. It's like wealth is very elusive, but once you figure it out, you got it. And, man, one day I remember I was so busy, 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. And at 4 p.m, I had 5 minutes to digest my emotions. And that 5 minutes, all I wanted to do was give up. And so the way I got over that was I said, I'll never give myself 5 minutes again in the middle of the day. I'll never do it. I just crammed my schedule even more packed and took on more. And every night before I went to sleep, I'd fall asleep with the iPad in my hand, ordering materials for the next day, checking on my critical path method, building it out, making sure. But look, 30 months of sacrifice set me up and my family up for the rest of our life. So it really just comes down to sacrifice, man.
I mean, if you think about it, those 30 months, they sound like really, really challenging, but for a lifetime of setting your family up, it's remarkable. I want to go back to when you wanted to give up, right? And there's so many good books on 3 feet from gold, or you see it all the time. Like people work all the way, and then right when they're about to succeed, they put their hands up. It's one of the saddest stories out there. You mentioned your wife, you mentioned your faith. I want to take you back in that moment when you're ready to give up. What was the final push to just be like, you know what, Nate, you got this, brother. You are stronger than all this other stuff. The fact that I've been in prison, the fact that I have had this rough childhood growing up. And I don't mean to say it's rough. That was my assumption from what you kind of said. But what was that final thing to say? You know what? I got this.
So it's like I used to envision having all these weights on my shoulders, right? And the weights were so heavy that they're crushing you. And I realized that if I take these weights off my shoulders, I'm looking at my little 5-6-year-old kid and I'm setting them on his shoulders. You handle this. I'm setting them on my wife's shoulders. You handle this. You got to find your why. It's got to be greater than you. We'll give up if it's just about us. But when I thought about everything I went through and the odds of him being able to make it through, my son and my wife, and then them having to deal with it because I didn't want to be a man and step up. Oh, hell no. I ain't doing that. So that was it. And that was my motivation. And I got an email from my wife. One of the things she said when we first got together, she said she had a 12-year-old and I raised him. I adopted him. He's my son. But she said, I don't want to be that mom again. She was a single mom and she had to work and clean it. She said, I don't want to do that. I just want to stay at home and raise a family. And I said, well, babe, I got you. So when she found out I was going bankrupt, she came in and said, I'm going to go get my job back. And I knew she hated her corporate job. That gave me the motivation right there I needed. I thought, hell no, she's not doing that. That wasn't the agreement. You need to step up and be a man. And from that day forward, I did not care what sacrifice I had to make. I was not letting her go back and do that. I was not letting my kids have to grow up in poverty. I wasn't doing it. And so that was a motivation right there, man. You got to find your why. Your why has to be greater than you. If not, you'll give up every time, brother.
So the other thing that strikes me about you from the moment we've been on Zoom, or, the moment I saw your face, you have this very dynamic energy. And I go back and I think, here's a guy that could feel like a victim, right? Circumstances were not ideal, therefore X, Y, and Z. But even the way you said, no one would give me a job, thank God. My question is, how do you do that, man? Have you always seen everything as, again, the glass is half full? Have you seen it from an optimistic light? Because it's certainly something that anybody listening, I hope they hear your message, but I really hope they feel the way you talk. You have passion, you have energy, and it's definitely contagious, and it makes you want to do better. So is that natural, or how do you go about that, brother?
So it was December of 1996. I was in Noble Correctional Institution. I got sent to solitary confinement for fighting. I'm in there. and I'm doing like 30 days. I don't know at the time how long I'm doing. It was December the 16th of 1996. And I'm in the cell, and you got these little bitty bars. You can look outside, but these bars they're 4-inch metal bars, and you can barely look out there and see light. And a voice came to me, and it said, what if I told you that you could be happy in here? I said, what you gonna do? Bring me some women, some booze, and a red Ferrari? That's my carnal mind said. I said that to the voice. And they said, no. They said, it's a decision. And I said, what do you mean? They said, you have a decision to be happy today or to be upset. The choice is yours. And it was God speaking to me. And so I promised myself, I said, if I ever get out of this place, because see, when you're in solitary confinement, freedom can be prison, right? That's how solitary confinement means. You're not leaving this box, right? And so if you do, you're all shackled up. And so even going back into population in prison felt like freedom. But I said, if I ever get out of here again, man, and I get out on the streets, I will never complain about a single day that I don't care if I'm homeless, under a bridge. I don't care. If I got oxygen in my lungs in the morning, it's a great day. It's all mindset, man. And I feel like in America, man, people are just so spoiled and they let the littlest things upset them. It's like, you ain't been through nothing. I feel like people should have to go to prison or military as soon as they get out of high school if they need their mind adjusted. That'll adjust your mind real quick, man. Now you come back to civilian life, the people complaining, like, look, man, you ain't been through nothing.
Yeah, I call it, it's obviously amazing perspective, and the ability for you to even quickly visualize, you can feel you're right back in that place, and that probably snaps you out whenever, I don't know, you had a flat tire.
Yeah. Whoa. A flat tire. Oh, thank you, Jesus. I might have went up 100 feet up the street and got killed by a semi truck. Thank you for intervening, right? Or one of my managers calls. Oh my, and they're panicking. I said, whoa, did somebody die? Oh, no. I said, what's the problem then? Well, we got a roof leak. I'm like, okay, it's roof leak. What are we going to do about it? But to put them into perspective, did somebody die? Well, no. Okay, well, then calm down. What is it? Because I don't want them panicking. What's the problem? What's the solution? If there is no solution, then let go of the problem. There's nothing we could do about it.
I love that. What's the problem? What's the solution? If there is no solution, let go of the problem. I freaking love that.
Yeah.
Obviously, real estate is something that you continue to help others with. You have built, I think, a remarkable amount in a very short period of time. And one of the things with the mindset is when the market starts to go down, people start to panic, right? And so where there is potential opportunity. So from 08, 09, maybe it was 2010 till at least present day, man, you want to talk about a great market to be in real estate. We're starting to feel a little recession come, right? Maybe the market starts to slow down. Where should people's minds start going now, Nate? Because obviously it's always easy to thrive during the good times, although many people miss that opportunity too. But we're going into this recession, or at least we're going to feel a pinch. What's the opportunity, man? Where should our minds really go?
Man, listen, brother. Hey, for those of you to celebrate Thanksgiving, I need you to think about Thanksgiving. We've been having Thanksgiving since 2009, 2010, right? What's after Thanksgiving, brother? Black Friday. Everything about to go on sale. So, hey, y'all sitting outside in tents at Best Buy when things go on sale, and when real estate about to go on sale, y'all panicking. Like, man, this is the time when you make the wealth. You need to be positioning yourself. You need to be getting your lines of credit. You need to be getting your capital together, putting your soldiers on the front line. And instead of being afraid, understand how to underwrite properties. If you're buying a property that can give you a 10% return and you're borrowing money from the bank is 7%, that's a 3-point spread on the bank's money. If the bank's putting up 4/5 of that and you're putting up 1/5, you're getting a 10% return on your money. You're getting a 3-point spread, a 3-point spread, a 3-point spread, a 3-point spread. That's 3, 6, 9, 12, and 10, right? That's 22% cash on cash return. That's it. It's simple math. Buy right, buy in any market, but know that the real wealth is made on Black Friday when things go on sale. If you guys could have Black Friday every day and you didn't have to line up the line, the great thing about Black Friday is you go to Best Buy, everything's on sale and there's nobody there and everything's cheap. That's real estate in a recession, baby. Everybody I'm going to tell you this. You know, I got a group with over 220,000 people in it that I show how to do real estate. And I tell them this, those of you that were complaining you couldn't find any workers, those are you that were complaining that you couldn't find any deals, you're going to be the same ones complaining that you can't find financing. The problem is you. It's not the deals, it's not the market. Nobody's going to knock on your door like, here's a house. Man, you got to get out and find it. You know, nobody's going to knock on your door and say, here goes some workers. You got to go find it, man. And when I tell people, they say, man, you know, it's hard. I can't find anybody to work. I said, well, look, man, here's my hard. Here's what I want you to envision hard as, guys. Look, I'm in the middle of the ocean. I don't have no life vest. I have an anchor around my ankles. I'm drowning. I'm bleeding. Sharks are swimming around me. And I don't know which way to swim because I don't know where shore is, right? That's hard. And some people are like, it's hard to find a contractor. That's not hard. That's not hard. You're just not trying very hard.
Yeah, you constantly bring us back to that mindset of really, which is great. I think it's fantastic. I guess so. Let's say we do get our mindset right, and we're ready to go. We're at Black Friday, man. We're ready to buy. You're doing hotels. You've done junkyard. You mentioned residential. I imagine there's some commercial mix in there. Maybe I'm assuming. Is there one specific section of real estate, if someone's listening, that you're like, hey, this is where I think it's great, or is it really finding the right deal?
It's really finding the right deal. It's really understanding how money really works. There is a hidden code to how money works. They don't teach you this in school. You ain't going to get it in college. And so to understand how investors and entrepreneurs look at money is totally different than how they teach you to be an accountant in school. And so you got to get around people. I got an academy, man. In our first year, we created, I think, 7 millionaires. Our first year using the Burr process. Now it's ours is a 5-year system. It shows you how to be a millionaire, and you don't have to be, but you have to get educated, guys. If you're not educated and I give you money, all you are is a consumer. So a consumer, we're taught from a young age, hey man, look at Ken over there, man. He got the Corvette. He went and got Barbie, now they got a house. What they ain't tell you, Ken probably living paycheck to paycheck. That's not a nice place to be. Why? Because Ken wants everything now, right? He wants to go get this Corvette. And so we're taught from a young age, 3-4 years old, man, to go out here and get in debt, and not good debt either, consumer debt. So you got to change your consumer mindset. You're either going to be a consumer or an investor. You can't be both. Now, once you become a very successful investor, you can go consume what you want, but you have to have that sacrifice. And many Americans, they say they want it, but the actual fact is, listen to me, brother. I could tell you that I want to lose weight, but right now I'm 300 pounds, right? I'm 6'4", 300 pounds. So I'm a big guy, but listen, I don't really want to lose weight. If I did, I would just do it, right? And people, I tell them, you don't really want to be wealthy. If you did, you would do it. But you got this limited, you got all these limitations around getting wealthy. Well, I don't really want to do that. Well, then you don't really want to become wealthy. It's like me, man, I want a little Debbie every now and then. So do I really want to lose weight, or would I rather have a nice steak, right? The choice is obviously, look at me, right? So until you determine that is important to you, you're likely not going to do it. You have to make a decision today. What are you going to do? Get around the right people, shift your mindset, get the education, understand how things work, and you won't be afraid to go do them. A lot of you guys are afraid to invest money in the stock market because they're going to take your money. But the fact of the matter is, you're going to go buy a depreciating asset with it anyways and turn that money into zero instead of taking a chance on investing. So you got to do something. Diversify, put some of your money away. I don't care if you lose it. I'd rather see you lose it than go buy whatever it is that depreciates to zero anyways. At least you're taking a chance, and there's an opportunity in chances.
Yeah, man, what I didn't expect about today is how much we would focus on mindset. And that's obviously the theme that continues to prevail throughout this podcast is that, look, it is your choice. You are choosing one path or the other. Just accept that. Don't be a victim. Take responsibility. I'm hearing that. One of the things that one of the topics that was presented was how to 72x your mindset. And I thought, man, that's a very specific number, 72x. So I'm in, man. I want to hear how do you do that? What is 72x? Because I've been trying to figure out the math. I'm not sure what it is. So let's talk about that.
So the 72x comes from, I can show you how to 72x your money. Start with $30,000. Year 5, it's about $2.1 million, 2.16, which is 72x, right? How do you do that? Now, I know it sounds super complicated, but there really is a strategy to that. It's really learning how to buy properties and buy properties right. Buying, renovate, rent, refinance, repeat. You're taking that same 30,000, you're using it over and over and over and over and over again to buy more properties, control more assets. You want to buy properties. Like I said, there is a formula to where you want to buy properties at. In the Academy, week 3, 4, 5, and 6, I teach you how to drill down to the exact zip code that you want to buy in and why you want to buy in that zip code. And I've seen people come back and they've shown me, I don't care what the value of these properties have done over the last 5 years. I care what's likely to happen over the next 5 years. And I can go into any major city and find these areas because it's all data. And it's all data that's driven by jobs and how much people can afford to pay. Now, with the interest rates going up, you're likely to see pricing come back down because people don't go to the bank and say, they don't go and say, hey, how much, I want to buy this property. They go to the bank and say, how much do I qualify for? And then they go buy what they qualify for, right? So if the amount that they qualify for goes down because interest rates go up, they can't buy any more than that. So you got to be really careful and you got to know how to invest, man. Don't go put your money out without getting your mindset together, get you a mentor, get you a coach. They're worth their price in gold. They really are. Get you a good community around you to help you. Otherwise, you're going to go out here and you're going to waste a decade of your life like I did learning the hard way.
So one of the things that you and I were talking off air, and I'm this is the way I'm wired, and it's something I'm working on my mindset specific to real estate. But I hear so many people that are like, you do this and then you rehab and they do these amazing things. But what if I just wanted to be the money side of it? What if it's just, let me give my money to someone like Nate that you're like, I know Nate's going to win because he's done it. He proves it over and over again. Is that a syndication? Is that the idea? Tell me more. If somebody's listening right now and they're like, well, I believe in what Nate's saying, but man, I don't have time or the desire. Yeah. I'm choosing not to. I just want to be the money side. What does that look like, brother? Is that a possibility?
Yep. So what we do is we raise our money through what's called a PPM, a private placement memorandum. That's a document drawn up. It's about a 54-page document is ours. And you're going to get it if you go to Fidelity or any of them. And it's basically a document saying, hey, here's the prospectus. Here's what everything looks like. Here's how you're going to get your return. But basically, I can't guarantee anything, right? And that's to protect, it's SEC, Security and Exchange Commission stuff. Then you do what's called a 506B or a 506C. Those are tools that you raise the capital off of. And, we go out and we syndicate capital. We got our investors that put money in. For that, they get equity in the deal. Sometimes they'll get a preferred return and equity. And then what we're racing towards is to get this place fixed up as soon as possible, get it revalued, go back and do a cash out refinance and get our investors their money back. That way they have no money in the deal, all or part of their money back. They have little or no money in the deal in a perfect scenario, and they still keep their equity. So then they take their money, they invest in another project, but that equity brings them in money the rest of their life or until we sell the asset.
Yeah. And one of the things that I believe, and somebody wiser than I, he's done well in real estate himself. He said to me, he's like, look, tell me anybody you know that's been successful financially that didn't have real estate in their portfolio. And I could not come up with one. Is it that simple, brother? Like, look, if you're listening to this podcast, whether you have real estate now or not, it's something you should have in your portfolio. Is that a fair statement?
Well, I think it's yes. I think everybody who's wealthy has real estate, at least that I know. And then everybody who made a ton of money in the crypto boom, they all wanted to get into real estate because it's the one thing that is tangible that you can go touch and grab, that you know you're going to need more of. And the cost to build are always going to go up. And so with that being said, there's always going to be need for it unless you're in one of them areas that just got desolated like Detroit. And so people know that there's a real need for that. People need to live in that. And I think that everybody who's owned real estate, especially over the past 10, 12 years, says, man, yeah, I wish I would have bought 10 of these or 20 of these or 50 of these, right? The great thing about real estate is this, guys. You are really just being the intermediary. Basically, I'm buying the property and I'm managing it. I'm doing asset management. I'm going to the tenant and I'm saying, hey, come on, man, I need that money. I got to pay the bank. And then I take the money and I count it out and I keep some for myself and I give some to the bank. And I do that over and over and over and over again. Now that property is going up in value. The amount that I owe the bank's going down. The tenant's rent's increasing. And I'm getting huge tax benefits off of this thing. What a lot of people don't know that don't do real estate is that you get tax benefits from this. Let's say I go buy a hotel for $10 million, right? And under the current IRS code, anything under 20 years on the maker schedule, which is modified adjusted cost recovery system, which is your depreciable timetable, says kitchen cabinets and countertops, that's furniture. You can depreciate that in 7 years. The lighting, that's a 7-year item. The paint, the carpet, the flooring, that's all a 1-year item. You go and you do these improvements to the property, or if I buy a hotel for 10 million, fixtures, furniture, equipment, it's about 25% of my asset allocation on the 10 million. I create likely a $2.5 million write-off just by buying a property. So let's say I had another property that I'm selling, making $2.5 million on. Now I come back, it all comes down on my adjusted gross income. I have a zero gain. They wiped each other out, right? That's why real estate's great, because you get these tax write-offs, and I financed it through the bank. We didn't even use our own money, and we created a tax write-off. Now, that $2.5 million, you deferred it, and one day you'll have to pick that back up. Now, 100% of bonus depreciation is going away this year. Next year, it drops down to 80%. But that means that any item that's under 20 years on the depreciation schedule for the IRS, you can take 100% of it right now, year one, instead of waiting. And if you don't use it all, guess what you get to do? You get to carry it forward next year, the year after, indefinitely, until you use it all. But you have to be a real estate investor to use that. Otherwise, you got what's called non-passive loss limits. And normal W-2 working person, you can't be categorized as a real estate professional, to my knowledge. But you guys are capped at 25,000 is the most in non-passive loss limits. That's all you can get. And once you make over $100,000, it starts to go down. So between 100,000 and 150,000, it phases out. So for $2 more in income over 100,000, you lose $1 of that 25,000. So if you made $125,000 on your adjusted gross income, that 25,000 would be cut down to 12,500. I know that's a complicated answer, but that is the hidden thing in real estate, is that you get to keep your money and reinvest it and create more jobs instead of taking it out and paying taxes.
So outside of the school of hard knocks, obviously going and being in your community and learning this, because you didn't have this community, you learned from the school of hard knocks. How did you educate yourself on all this, brother? Did you have
reading? Because when I failed, I never wanted to fail again. And I said, I am going to know absolutely everything about real estate that could possibly happen so that I can defend myself and my family and my investors against it. I never want to fail. And so by doing that, I researched and just read everything I possibly could. I would read, I would get CD audiobooks, do 3 or 4 of those a day. I mean, I just crammed so much. Now I'm listening to books. They're 2 hours long. I'm just looking for that 30 seconds, that golden nugget in it, right? Then I'll find the golden nugget. I write it down. I go research it. And you start to figure out and understand how everything works.
Well, so with the market changing, with the rates going up, does your strategy change at all? Because obviously they're still not very high. I mean, historically, they're not that high, but that's the one thing you hear people, rates are up, real estate's going to slow down, prices will go down a little bit. Does your philosophy, does it change at all?
No, not at all. Our reevaluation of our exit strategy changes a little bit. In other words, we don't think we can sell things at a 5 or a 6 cap anymore. And a cap rate, guys, is simply just a return metric used. Let's say it's $1 million property and you thought you could sell it at a 5 cap. That means that property brought in $50,000 a year. 50,000 divided by 0.05 is going to give you a 5% return. I think, let me just do my math here. Divided by 0.05. Yeah, it's $1 million, right? So now that same $50,000, I'm going to value at a 7.5 cap divided by a 0.07.5. What do you think happens to that $1 million in value? Does it go up or down?
It goes up, right?
It goes down because now the investor wants a 7.5% return on that building instead of 5%. That same building that was worth $1 million is now only worth $666,667. Because him, instead of saying, hey, I'll buy this at a 5% return because I can borrow money at 2.5%, he's saying, hey, I'll buy it at a 7.5% return. I need a higher return, which is going to lower the amount he can give you. I'll give you a 7.5% return because now I got to borrow money at 5%. That's commercial real estate. That's why you're going to see commercial real estate values go down significantly.
Telling you, brother, you've done this. You rattle numbers off so quickly. It's amazing how simple it is for you.
I'm reading off a screen. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, it's all I do, man. I can analyze a deal in 2 minutes, man, anywhere in the country most of the time. I just, I analyze the deals. I see the stuff. And this is what I teach the people that are in my academy, man. I teach them how to buy single family homes like this. That way, listen, man, they're turbocharging their returns.
So being in real estate, as long as you've done it, you've seen some peaks, some valleys, you've kind of seen everything. What do you see coming for the next 5 years, brother? Do you have a good feel for what's happening? Because a lot of change in our world, a lot of inflation up, the world has changed. What's your crystal ball telling you?
So one of the things that people aren't looking at is if you go back and you look at 1981, interest rates went to 18%. Property values didn't really fall in value back then. So the commercial buildings, I think there will be some of them falling. But most people, like I got a 2.625 rate on my house. Guess what? I'm not selling. You're going to see inventory come to a halt. People are going to stop selling. They were selling before because they were saying, man, I had a 4% rate on my house. Now I can sell it. I can make $300,000. I can sell my $500,000 house, go buy a $900,000 house or $1 million house, put this 300 down and get a 2.75 rate. And my payment's actually lower, right? That's not happening anymore. So people are going to stop selling their properties. They're going to stay put. And we can't build properties anymore. The government's going to have to intervene, in my opinion, and do like a 40-year mortgage with the 10-year interest only at the front. It's the only way that we build enough housing. Guys, in the last recession, we had about 20-something million people that were left from the silent generation alive, right? We had 75 million baby boomers, and we had 44 million Gen X, right? I was about only people buying. You just had the millennials getting in there. Now you still got almost all those people left, Some of the silent generation fell off. Most of the baby boomers are still alive. You know, you lost a couple million of them. But look, now you have 80 million millennials who are all looking for housing. And right behind that, brother, people ain't even talking about it. You got 80 million Gen Z. Where in the hell are they going to get housing now? They just turned 25 this year. By 2056, we're likely to have 425 million people in this country, between 400 and 425 million people, which means we need more housing. Where's it going to come from? Right? We got to build it. It's the only way to get it. The cost to build is way more than existing inventory. So with that saying, real estate's local. You have to look and dig into your local market and understand what is driving your local market. And then you have to say, man, you know what's driving our local market? Paper pulp factory. Well, where's that paper pulp going? To the newspaper mill. That's done. It's not going to be around in 5 years, right? You need to be around in places that are growing, and you need to understand what the demand looks like in the future in that area you're investing in. Not right now. You're not buying right now. You're buying the future. So you need to figure out what the future looks like in that area. There's going to be areas that are going to get decimated over the next 5 years. There, what is that? Boise, Idaho. We've been watching that for 2 years. We knew that area got overbuilt. Watch that. That'll be the bellwether to what happens. That will be the first one that cracks. And I read a report yesterday, and there was one analyst that said he thinks those house prices are overpriced by 72%. Oh. Now, I don't think it's that high, but they were selling for $600 a foot, brother. Boise, Idaho, you can build there for $220 a foot. So, see, that's a problem. South Florida, I've been looking down there. You're selling for $1,200 to $2,000 a foot, but we can build down there for $400 a foot, $300 a foot, right? So markets like that, you got to look at, but you also got to look deeper. What is driving Miami and Boca Raton? Boca Raton's not bad. Like you go to Fort Lauderdale and Miami and South, that area is all high. Boca Raton, you still got, you know, some good value there. It's expensive. You're $400 or $500 a foot, but it's not unreasonable. You get down into Miami, it's $1,500, $2,000 a foot, man. It's like that stuff's going to get hurt. So I think it really comes, you know, into the local market and understand what's driving that. What kind of jobs do you have? How much do them jobs pay? What can people afford to pay at an 8% interest rate? We're likely to see 8% interest rates by the end of this year. The feds are meeting at the end of this month, well, in a few days, and are likely to raise interest rates 50 to 75 basis points. So what does that mean for the consumer? They're going to stay put. They're not going to sell. We can go back and look at the model. We can look at 1981, what they did. House prices did not crash. People just stopped trading. Now, that doesn't mean I don't think prices won't come down a little because they shot up too quick. Why did they shoot up? They shot up because income shot up during COVID, and you also had interest rates drop significantly, which basically just reconfirms that people don't really go out and buy the real estate. They let the bank tell them what they can buy, and they go pay the maximum they can most of the time. And that's what happened. We went from $329,000 in 2019, first quarter of 2020, I want to say, to $429,000. And you know, I mean, you're talking a 20% increase in pricing in 2 years. Now, in order for that to be sustainable, you would need 20% increase in wages. Didn't happen. You had interest rates drop, and that's where people got their buying power at. Now that buying power is going away. There's going to be some opportunity out here, but just tread slowly. Don't do a marginal deal. We only do home run deals. I ain't worried about it. If it's not a home run deal, I don't want it. I'm not wasting my time. I'd rather go sit out back by the pool or, go, hit my hand with a hammer or something, and go do a bad deal.
Well, brother, it's interesting hearing, you referring history repeats itself. We've heard that forever, but it is fascinating for you to be able to look back and say, remember in 1981, this is what happened. I didn't know what happened, but as you're talking about it, it's like, yeah, it's interesting. I want to just give you a quick moment. Any open forum item, I didn't know enough to ask you X, just anything you want to leave the audience before we make sure people know where to find you.
Man, I mean, maybe find me, but look, man, just don't let anybody cast their self-doubt and insecurities and fears on you. If people are telling you, you can't do this, You can't do that. That means they don't feel like they can do that. I don't need you to take that and think they're talking to you. That's their insecurity and fears, and they're trying to project that on you. You can do anything you want to do, be anything you want to be, first and foremost. So remember that the most successful people, man, they still have most of them 2 hands and 2 legs, just like us. I have a group. Any of you guys that want to learn, it's a free group. It's on Facebook. We got over 220,000 members. One of the most active real estate groups in the country. Man, it's BRRRR Invest, Burr Invest. It's free. Go join. Ask your questions in there. NateBarger.com. I have an academy too. We have over 1,200 people all across the country that we teach how to become millionaires in 5 years, following the proven system that I've taught many people to. And, you know, we just celebrated our 1-year anniversary, and we created, I think, 7 millionaires in our first year, and many other ones that have hundreds of thousands of equity, but more importantly, that got their first deal and understand now how deals work and how money works. A lot of these people went and spent 4 years at college and got $100,000 in debt to get out and get a $50,000 a year job. I can teach you in 13 weeks, man, a lot about real estate. And then we also have weekly coaching with that and an online community. My goal is to help 10 million people become millionaires. And I'm well aware that there are only 22 million millionaires in the United States. I know that's a big goal, but I think we can do it, not just through me, but through the people I touch who go and touch other people.
Well, brother, the amount of knowledge you have in a very lucrative arena, I think you will. But more importantly, man, your mindset, I love it. It's strong. I love how your complete responsibility, you take that and you own it. And I tell you what, to me, that's as valuable, if not more valuable, than anything real estate knowledge wise. I love the way you show up, brother. I just appreciate you sharing so much today.
Man, I appreciate you having me on, brother. And I can't wait to have you on my podcast, man, so we can lever up, baby.
Yeah, man, I can't wait. You guys go check Nate out. Go be part of he said there's a free group. There's another group privately that you can do. Lever Up Podcast. I mean, look, I have so many more questions for Nate. We're out of time today, but I know he's going to be in my life. I'm going to learn a lot from him. I hope some of you take advantage of that as well. Why not? He's giving you a free opportunity to be a part of it. So please share this with anybody you know, whether they're doing real estate or they want to do real estate. Everybody can learn from what Nate just did. I know I certainly did. And I want you guys to continue. I want you to be one of those 10 million millionaires that he helps create. So until next time, you guys, remember your mindset matters. I appreciate you all.
Thank you so much, brother.
Thank you so much for listening. If this content is delivering value to you, please make sure to subscribe, rate, and review us. That helps us build this community, and that is what we are all about. Building this community as big as we can, helping as many people as we can, and deliver as much value as possible. Be sure to head over to letsgowinpodcast.com for information on my coaching courses, and make sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn at Let's Go Win 365. Let's go win and transcend in life.
This is the Let's Go Win podcast with your host, J.M. Ryerson.